Hi, I'm Charles with AniCap. Previously, Bai was accepted as a disciple to become an immortal. In the immortal realm, Bai would discover that his chosen walk is able to double the power of anything he puts in it. However, he loses some lifespan when he does. Later, Bai goes on a mission and discovers that a clan has betrayed the spirit sector. He would eventually beat one of the masters in a fight, but may have paid the ultimate price. Meanwhile, Faye sends a message back to the spirit sector where they decide they must go to war to annihilate the Lucian clan and rescue Bai and his team. The story continues as a transport array is activated, and the sector leader instructs all the disciples to not return without victory. Back at the mountain, the leader of the Lucian clan wonders why Heng has not returned and doubts that he has been defeated. Just then, their ritual to begin the reverse spirit array is interrupted as their cave begins to collapse. Outside, the leader is shocked to see a fleet of flying warships and is horrified when he realizes that they have been exposed. The spirit sector forces begin their attack on the Lucian clan's base, and its leader does his best to stop it. However, he stands no chance at all, and the entire Lucian clan is instantly crushed by the mighty force of the spirit sector army. Chief Li is then informed that Bai and Faye have yet to be found, and he explains that they are now the top priority. Near the monument, Faye is found by two robed strangers, and healed just enough to wake up. Her first thought is to go help Bai, but she struggles to run, and the two offer to go in her place. Faye completely ignores them though, as she can only think about how Bai sacrificed everything for her, and leaves the two behind since they aren't able to enter the mountain. In the forest, spirit sector members find the remains of one of Bai's battles, and see that he had fought several clansmen that had reached level 7 key condensation. Li points out how not even chosen disciples would have been able to escape unharmed, and can only imagine the horrible pain Bai must have went through. Just then, a clue is reported to have been found, and Li arrives to see that it's a piece of Bai's clothing they found in a pool of blood. Li has a brief memory of when he told Yongheng to give Bai those clothes. He stated that while Bai is very mischievous, he has innate talent, and Li believes Bai might one day become a great cultivator. They then discover a blade mark that reveals it was from a cultivator at the 9th level of key condensation, and the person must have used a lethal move executed at full strength. Li is told that it would be impossible for Bai to survive, and Li regrets getting there too late. Just then, Faye arrives and explains that as long as Bai's corpse is not found, then he must still be alive. However, she breaks down when the investigator shows her the piece of Bai's bloody clothes, but she still refuses to believe that he has died. Faye is frantic as she calls out Bai's name, and Li simply instructs the other disciples to continue the search. Back at the spirit sector, the sector leader of the spirit stream sector named Yuan is told that a search for traces of life was conducted, but in this world there is not the slightest sign of life from Bai. Yuan points out how rare it is to find someone so loyal and righteous, who is also powerful and fearless. If the Lucian rebellion had succeeded that day, the spirit realm would have been in great danger. Bai was able to buy enough time for a message to be sent, and this danger, with consequences too terrible to contemplate, was avoided. The sector will never forget that Bai sacrificed his life for a righteous cause, and they plan to honor him. Sometime later, a memorial service is held to mourn the genius practitioner Bai. Everyone cries about his death, but Zhang reminds the Fire Kitchen members that they shouldn't cry, since they must calmly send Bai off on his final journey. A speech honoring Bai is told that highlights how good of a person he was. He used his life to spread goodness and eliminate evil, and eventually sacrificed it to save the spirit sector. Mei is completely beside herself and begs that Bai be given back to her. Bai is then accepted as a disciple on behalf of the perfected being Ling Lo, and given the title of Honored Disciple, only the 10th one in the thousands of years of the spirit sector's entire history. A bell is rung to honor him, and everyone lowers their head to mourn his death. Li is then left to wonder what would have happened if he never brought Bai to the spirit realm, or if he had paid more attention to him. The other members of Bai's team are then promoted to the inner sector, but Faye asks that her promotion be withdrawn. The elder is shocked since no one has ever rejected a promotion to the inner sector, and the crowd is certain that she has gone crazy. Yuan is curious as to why she would refuse the reward, and she explains that it's because she has another request. She then shocks everyone as her request is that she be stationed at Dongling City. Yuan points out that the city lies on the border of the Lucian territory. It is a desolate and dangerous land that no one is willing to go to. Faye explains that she is of the belief that Bai is still alive, and she wants to go there to wait for him. Yuan honors her request, and we see that Faye stays at the ceremony much longer than everyone else. She wonders if Bai would not like her going to such a dangerous place, but Faye feels like she must since Bai gave up his intense desire to survive just to save her. She realizes that she won't be able to pay him back in this life, but no matter how long it takes, she vows to wait for him to return. Elsewhere, we see that Bai has a dream of being a hero of the spirit sector, and surprisingly wakes to find himself completely healed. He begins to wonder if he has died and moved on to the underworld. Bai points out how he has tried to avoid death his entire life, just as a man reveals himself. He is the tomb guardian, and Bai asks that he have mercy on him since he is just a ghost passing by. However, Bai is extremely relieved to hear that he is still alive. He instantly thinks about the safety of his two friends and tries to find them, but is stopped by a barrier. The man explains that it is an ancient barrier, and even though Bai has trained using the undying power method, he won't be able to pass. Bai is surprised to hear that the man knows about his training, and the man explains that if it wasn't for the undying power flowing through Bai's body, then he would have become a lonely wandering ghost. The undying power forcibly absorbed the surrounding life forces and healed Bai on its own. The man then gives Bai a pill that will help him recover his spiritual strength, and the man explains that he will return in exactly 15 days. Afterwards, Bai realizes how strange it is that the man wants to help Bai regain his strength, but won't let him leave the cave. This makes him wonder if the man is just trying to fatten him up to eat him. Bai refocuses though, as he reminds himself that he needs to find his friends, and decides to level up the pill he was given. He does, and begins training with the intention of achieving bronze skin. The training is more grueling than ever, as Bai must remind himself to endure all the pain. He realizes that refining the pill worked perfectly, as he finally manages to achieve bronze skin, but is then overwhelmed by more pain. Bai then emerges from the cave and realizes that he has leveled up once more and achieved silver skin. The man is there waiting and is amazed to see that Bai had successive breakthroughs in such a short time. Bai apologizes for being so suspicious of the man and now realizes that he was simply helping him make a breakthrough in the undying power training method. The man explains that although it might be Bai's fate, achieving the power of the undying power is extremely difficult and grueling. Only those that master the 2 volumes written in scripture can break through the shackles and seals, and solve the riddle of life and the eternal. The man disappears but tells Bai not to tell anyone about their encounter, and leaves behind the missing 2nd volume of the undying power. The man's final message reveals that the Lucian clan has been exterminated, and that his friends are no longer on the mountain. At Donglin City, Faye is informed that her overseer is upset that she hasn't returned to give her report on a mission for over 6 months. The messenger is concerned that her body can't endure for much longer, and fears what the overseer will do next. She isn't concerned at all though, and explains that as long as she's able to wait for Bai, she will accept any punishment she receives. Afterwards, Faye patrols the city as we see that a beggar is treated poorly when he attempts to get some food. He is almost run over by someone who calls him a stinking beggar, but Faye comes by and instructs someone to give the beggar some food. She is then shocked to hear the beggar's voice when he thanks her, but when she goes back to look for him, he is gone. Faye is upset for not recognizing him sooner, and explains that she would never forget his voice for the rest of her life. Other people insult the beggar nearby, so Faye sprints to the man, and screams out his name. The beggar turns to reveal that he is Bai, and Faye can't control the tears as she is relieved to see that he has finally returned. Later that night, Bai is given clothes and a meal as he is welcomed back by Faye. She wonders why she hadn't heard from him in 6 months, and explains that everyone was worried. Bai states that he lost his transmitter, but reveals that he was worried about her as well. He didn't sleep at all on his trip back, and she points out how that must be why people thought he was a beggar. Bai is curious to know what she is doing in the small city, and Faye gathers the courage to tell them that she came there to wait for him. Faye goes on to say that her father is the only other person she is close to, but Bai's sincerity and genuineness are unmatched by anyone she has ever met. Bai tells her not to worry as he will always be there for her whenever she needs him. He will solve all her problems and appear anywhere for her so she won't be lonely anymore. She begins to cry and Bai explains that he won't reveal her troubles to anyone. Seeing that Bai has returned safely, Faye explains that she can finally leave without any worries. Bai doesn't want to be left alone as he begins to fall asleep, but Faye reveals that she must apologize. She explains that her entire existence in this world is fake, and only the person in front of him is genuine. The next morning, Bai wakes up thinking the kiss she gave him must have been a dream. Faye is gone though, so Bai assumes she returned to the sector. Back at the sector, we see that Bai is treated like a hero and a special event is held to commemorate the hero's demise. It is explained that the spirit sector will never forget Bai, and a statue honoring him is revealed. Just then, a flying ship crashes into it, breaking off the head, and everyone is shocked to see that it was Bai. Afterwards, everyone is relieved to see that Bai is still alive, but some question how he could have survived such a terrible situation. Bai's close friends wait outside a temple and wonder why the chiefs are keeping him there for so long. Inside, Bai finishes up explaining what happened on the mountain as the chiefs observe how torn his clothes are and determine that he must have endured great hardship. Bai apologizes for not being able to save Feng, but really just thinks about how glad he is that he kept his torn clothes, so that everyone can know how much he suffered. Yuan then explains that the sector has already promoted Bai to the inner sector and made him the 10th honored disciple. Bai is then surprised to hear that the other honored disciples are all distinguished individuals, but they have all passed on. Yuan also reveals that he represented his late master, the perfect being Ling Lo, in accepting Bai as his disciple. Bai is pretty disinterested in all that and is just excited to see what his reward is. It is explained to him that he has already received the greatest reward, and that is the ability to pay respects to the master. Bai isn't satisfied with that though and reminds everyone what he has done for the sector. He also vows to spill his blood passionately for the sector again, and will gladly give his life to protect it. Just then, Chief Li arrives and Bai is glad to finally see him again, as he apologizes for making him worry. Li then dramatically states that he would like to give Bai some equipment for protection, but he is only an expert in refining elixirs and cannot protect him. Bai follows along and dramatically states that it's okay. He doesn't want anything and only seeks the righteous path. Yuan can see what they're doing and decides to give Bai the divine crane shield. It has the soul of an immortal crane fused within, and can withstand attacks from Foundation Establishment cultivators. Bai is also given the Golden Crow sword that has the divine Golden Crow sealed within. It can adjust itself to the user's cultivation level and even enable flight. It's too difficult for him to carry, and everyone is upset to hear that Bai wants to trade it for something else. Outside, Bai's friends fight over greeting him, and he explains that everything is fine now. Afterwards, Bai states that it's been so long since he has been gone, and everyone spends time catching him up on everything that has happened. Bai also graciously tells everyone the stories he has about the famous battles he had on the mountain. Mei then brings Bai back to the stage where the sector's competition was held, and shows him how large the plant used in the final has gotten. She explains that it was initially a place to pay respects for Bai, but eventually became a place where wishes are granted. Mei reveals that her wish already came true, and runs off to show him something else, but Bai waits as he thinks about Fei. Afterwards, Bai is told that Fei's whereabouts are being investigated, and the search through Dongling City has already been conducted. 2 weeks have gone by without any news, and Bai wonders why Fei left without saying goodbye. Mei interrupts his thoughts to point out how lucky Fei is to have someone like Bai so worried about her. She is confident that Fei simply has urgent matters to attend to, and once she is done, Fei will definitely come back for Bai. Mei promises to always keep him company though, and Bai thanks the silly girl. Later, Bai is shown that he has received several gifts from leaders of other sectors, and is overjoyed to be called Marshal Bai. Around the city, people gossip about how Bai was given the powerful Golden Crow Divine Sword, and Bai decides to let the people have a glimpse of it. The crowd can barely look at the divine weapon, but beg to see it again when Bai puts it away. Bai is then shown much respect as he walks through the city, and we see that the elder is tired of how much commotion he is creating. The chief explains that his ruckus won't reach them there, but finds he is wrong when Bai flies by. After this, we see that Bai's reputation changes a bit when gossip about him annoying everyone spreads. Elsewhere, Bai wonders where else to go so that he can be worshipped, and Bao explains that they have gone almost everywhere and met almost all the disciples. Zhou then appears and Bai explains that he hasn't seen her in some time, and begins to gloat about his new status, but she just leaves. Bai tries to chase after her, but is unable to control the sword with Bao as his passenger, and they crash. Just then, Bai hears a familiar voice and sees that it is Chen. Chen wishes out loud that he would have eliminated Bai when he had the chance before, but promises to do it in the future. Just then, Bai reveals himself to say that Chen should respect his elders, and states that youngsters like him are the future of the spirit sector. Bai states that he should learn from his fallen brother Feng's actions, and Chen attempts to take his leave. Bai explains that he would actually like to have a long talk with him, but Chen fears he might be trying to do something, and explains that his new master is Tian Yu. Bai has no clue who that is, so Chen explains that he is the chosen one. Bai plans to teach Chen a lesson for speaking to him so casually, but Tian Yu arrives to stop him, and states that Bai being an honored disciple is a joke. Bai isn't too happy about this, but is shocked when Tian Yu demonstrates his power. Tian Yu explains that he refuses to let Bai affect his preparations for entering into Foundation Establishment. He walks away and Bai is left shaking with anger as he vows to one day get back at Tian Yu. Thanks for watching part 6, 4,000 likes and I'll know you want a part 7. Also, all other parts are in a pinned comment below.